Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you for your association. Really, really grateful to all of you. Let's get started with our Mangalacharan verses. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha Om Ajnanatimrantasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Padati Swapadantikam Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Kauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshakarine Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhaivacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Guruve Gaura Chandrai Radhikaya Gadalai Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktai Tadbhaktaya Namo Namaha Mutam Karoti Vachal Nandom Gayatri Girim Vitkripahatam Namayan Shri Guru Dinatarim Parma Anandam Adam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Ishwar Hare Krishna once again. Thank you so much. So let's get started. We are in Srimad Bhagavatam and this is canto number 2 and we are in chapter number 8. This is questions by King Parikshit. So we have discussed so many beautiful verses. I believe first few verses have already been covered by Preeti Vilasni Mataji. And this is a very beautiful chapter. So when our Narad Muni, so this is a multiple conversations that is going on. First conversation is between Suta Goswami and Naimisharanya Rishis headed by Sri Shaunaka Rishi, where Shaunaka Rishi have asked these questions to Suta Goswami about the creation, maintenance and the annihilation of this universe. In that regard, Suta Goswami said that I will narrate you that how the similar question was asked by King Parikshit to Sukhdev Goswami on the banks of river Ganga. And there Parikshit Maharaj asked the same questions that, O Sukhdev Goswami, I want to know about the creation, maintenance and the annihilation of the universe. How Krishna Chaitanya. Sorry. So how everything takes place. Then Sukhdev Goswami said that, O King Parikshit, you have asked a very relevant question. But in this regard, I will tell you the narration, the conversation, the dialogue that happened between Narad Muni and Lord Brahma. So our camera shifted to Brahmalok, where Narad Muni went to his father, to his master, Brahmaji, and asked the same question. Brahmaji was very pleased that, O Narada, you have asked very nice questions, because Narada said that I want to know that whom you are meditating. Are you the supreme or there is someone above you? And how can Lord Brahma, who is in the Asattva, who is in the servitor form of the Supreme Lord, can accept that how he is the Supreme? Of course he cannot. So immediately told Narad Muni that how actually the Supreme Lord, Lord Shri Krishna is the Supreme, and how his incarnation, his Amsha, is one of his Amsha is Garbhodakshai Vishnu, from whose lotus navel sprouted a lotus flower, and I appeared on that lotus flower. And Brahmaji told everything about the annihilation, creation, and the maintenance aspect of not only one universe, but the other universes also. Then, after describing this, then our Brahmaji said that, "O Narada, I want to tell you that how different Leela avatars, like the Guna avatars, the Leela avatars, the Manvantara avatars, different incarnations of the Supreme Lord takes place." That was a very sweet section, how our Brahmaji described so many beautiful avatars of the Supreme Lord. After describing this, now our camera again came back to the banks of River Ganga, where Parikshit Maharaj and Sukadev Goswami were talking. So after describing that episode of Brahmaji and Narada, in the last section we saw that Brahmaji told Narad Muni that, "See, I have described you everything that you asked. Now there is one duty. I want something from you. And what I want is that now you should spread this knowledge." So this is what we all should also learn, that when we get some knowledge about Lord Shri Krishna, don't keep it to ourselves, distribute it far and wide. And this is what distributing Srimad Bhagavatam in the book form, in the knowledge form, whatever possible, we should give this Krishna consciousness to everybody, so that everybody can become conscious of Lord Shri Krishna. So our camera again shifted to Parikshit Maharaj and Sukadev Goswami, where Parikshit Maharaj is now further asking all these questions. So when Narad Muni was instructed by Brahma that you should explain these qualities of Transcendental Supreme Lord to far and wide, Parikshit Maharaj asked this question that, "Oh, Sukadev Goswami, I don't want you to stop. Yes, you have answered all my questions for true, but still I don't want you to stop here. I want that you should tell me further about the Supreme Lord, about his wonderful potencies, and about all the narrations of the Supreme Lord. Please don't stop. I have only 7 days left, and I want to continue hearing about that Supreme Lord." And there are many beautiful verses that came in the start of this section, where Parikshit Maharaj says, "Shrunvatam Shraddhayam Nityam Grunnatascha Chestisam Kalena Nati Na Ati Dirghena Bhagavan Hridvashate Hridi." That when somebody hears the Supreme Lord's glories, whether it's form, whether his qualities, whether his holy name, whether his pastimes, anything that is related to Supreme Lord, when we hear Shrunvata, and how we hear with Shraddha, with faith, and not only once, twice, but daily, Nityam, 24/7. Yes, it is 24/7, but our Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur knows that we are all in Grastashram. So he says, yes, it is 24/7, but if you cannot do it 24/7, then at least once in a day. So Srimvatam Shraddhaya Nityam, yes, you have to hear, but just hear from one ear and then let it go out of the other ear. No. Grandatas Chasvacheshtitam, with your endeavor, with your sadhana, you should hear with Shraddha, perform that sadhana, do that bhajan, but at the same time, Grandatas, try to imbibe the instructions in your life. Means Grandata means you have to literally carry, you have to meditate, you have to imbibe all those things in your life. And he says, Kalena Ati Dirghena, not far, far away. Ati Dirghena means for a very, very long time. But it says Na Kalena Na Ati Dirghena means immediately. What happened? Bhagavan Vasate Hari. Bhagavan will establish himself in the heart of that devotee. And then again in continuation, okay, in the heart of the devotee, the Lord is there. He rested. What is he doing? Is he sitting idle? He's just as a bird on a tree, just Anumanta and Upadrishta. Yes, for others, when he accompanies as a Paramatma, he is Anumanta and Upadrishta Anumanta. He is performing these two functions. But when the devotee, when the sadhaka performs his bhajan and invites the Supreme Lord, Bhagavan Vasate Hridi invites the Supreme Lord by performing his sadhana and bhajan, and the Supreme Lord comes and sits, then the Father established a relationship between that Paramatma. That there is a relationship between the Jivatma and Paramatma. And then Paramatma doesn't sit idle. Pravishte Karnarandrena Swarambhava Saroruham Dhunoti Shalanam Krishna Shailasya Yatha Sharat. Very beautiful verse, Parikshit Maharaj said. That Pravishta Karnarandrena, and when these different pastimes, the name of the Supreme Lord, the form of the Leelas, the Godas, when they enter in the ear, through the ear hole, when they entered through the ear hole, then what happened? Swanam Bhava Saroruham. That Supreme Lord sits on the lotus flower. So what does he do? Dhunoti Shalanam Krishna. He simply engages himself in the cleaning process. The Supreme Lord washes, Dhunoti, washes all the amalam, all the contamination that is there in the heart of the jiva. And the contamination like Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mad, he washes away everything. How he washes? Just like there is so much mud during the rainy seasons. Now the rainy seasons have started in India. All the pools, the water reservoirs, they are muddy. But after those 4 seasons of rain, then what happened? There autumn that comes. And one rain in the autumn is so wonderful that it cleanses of all the muds from everywhere. The water reservoirs become clean. The leaves, the plants, they shine like anything. Why? Because the rain of water. Shalasya Yatha Sharat. So during that Sharat time, during that autumn time, one rain, how it cleanses everything. Similarly, that Supreme Lord who is sitting in the heart, in the lotus flower of the heart of the jiva, he cleanses all the contaminations. And the devotee, on the other hand, he also never gives up the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, because he knows that my only relationship is with my Supreme Lord. Dhautatma Purusha Krishna Padamulam Namanchati. It doesn't gives up the Padamulam, doesn't give up the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. Why Mukta Sarva Pare Klesha? Because he's always relieved of all the kleshas, of all the problems, and he's purified now. Heart is purified because the Supreme Lord himself has cleansed all the contamination. So he is always purified. So why he will give up the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord? And then the analogy is given, Pantasya, Pantasva Sharana Yatha. Just like a traveler takes shelter of the shade of the tree, he doesn't want to give up. And another example is if somebody is traveling and he goes back to his home, he finds so much of shanti, so much of peace. Kitna sukoon milta hai, right? Because now he is back home. Similarly, when the Supreme Lord washes everything and the heart becomes purified, naturally there is some transcendence that is there in the heart of a devotee, by which the devotee doesn't want to give up the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. So this is the very beautiful basis that Parikshit Maharaj made before asking his questions. And then further, he asks various questions. The entire chapter is just the questions of Parikshit Maharaj. He asks so many questions that itself forms the basis of the entire Srimad Bhagavatam. So from here onwards, the entire Srimad Bhagavatam that will be spoken by Srila Sukadeva Goswami is actually answering Parikshit Maharaj's question. So Parikshit Maharaj, when he asks all these questions, it forms the basis of entire Srimad Bhagavatam. With this Srimad Bhagavatam is actually what? It's a dialogue between Sukadeva Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj. It's a one-on-one conversation. Yes, there are so many other rishis who were present in that assembly, but actually it was one-on-one conversation between Parikshit Maharaj and Sukadeva Goswami. And this is the another learning that we should have. Pariparshnena sevaya. When we have to go to the spiritual master, we don't take diksha just for the name's sake. We take diksha so that we can ask some relevant question, some intelligent question about the paravidya, about the transcendental knowledge from the spiritual master. And not just bother the spiritual master about our own problems that we are facing in our life. Guidance can be taken, but for the spiritual master, guidance we can take from the Shiksha Gurus, from our seniors, mentors, counselors. But when it comes to our spiritual master, we should ask only spiritual questions that can help us elevate from this samsara chakra, that can help us understand our relationship with the Supreme Lord, that it can help us so that we can know about the Supreme Lord and finally transcend this world. So, pariprashnena seva, padikshanti te tattvadarshana. The Supreme, the spiritual master, he is tattvadarshana. So we should go and ask him some relevant question. So our Parikshit Maharaj is also asking. Now another lesson that we learn from Parikshit Maharaj is not just to jump on that, oh wow, yes, Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam, he is Krishna and he is Swayam Bhagavan. And my dynasty was blessed because they had an association of Lord Shri Krishna. So he didn't jump on that, oh, I want to know only the sweet Vrindavan pastimes of Lord Shri Krishna. Before that, he wants to understand the supremacy of Krishna. And for that, he asked so many questions about Ishvara, about Jiva, about Kala, about Karma. So all these questions our Parikshit Maharaj has asked. So we have covered many. And yeah. So from here onwards, from verse 7 onwards, he asked that I want to know about the Jiva who is spiritual in nature. So I want to know that how the Jiva who is spiritual, who is also an Amsha of the Supreme Lord, because Krishna says, Mamai Vamsha Jiva Loke, how the Jiva becomes in contact with this body. What is the reason? I want to know. And then he asked about that how the Lord and the living entities, what is the difference between them? They look similar. The Supreme Lord also comes in a two-handed form. But naturally, there is a difference between Ishvara and Jiva. So I want to know more. Then he says that how I want to know that how Brahma appeared on the navel of the Supreme Lord, and how Brahma is different from the Supreme Lord. They both are the creators, but I want to know how Brahma's body is different from the Lord's body. And I want to know about Shiradaksha Vishnu. I want to know that how he was there in the heart of all the living entities, how he is untouched by his external energy. Where does he lie? How can we understand that he is the master of this external energy, Maya? Then I want to know about the Virat Purusha. I want to know about the Garbhodaksha Vishnu. This is Virat Purusha, Garbhodaksha Vishnu, and how the different planets are situated in the body of Virat Purusha. Then he says that I want to know about the Kalpa, that yes, from that Virat Purusha navel, Brahmaji comes out. But I want to know about the creation and annihilation of that one universe. How much time does it take? Who governs the different limbs of that Virat Purusha? I want to know everything. Then he says, I want to know how much time is taken for one creation and one annihilation. What is the lifespan of different humans, demigods, everything I want. Our purest of the Brahmanas, also please explain me about the different durations of time, both short and long, as well as the beginning of time following the course of action. Means what is the lifetimes of humans, demigods, and all the other species of life. I want to know the divisions of time. After describing, I think so we have to start from verse number 14. So these are different questions that Parikshit Maharaj is asking. Let's start. Yasmin karma samavayo yatha yeno prakriyate gunanam guninam chaiva parinanam abhipsatam. Then, sorry, somebody can read the translation.
Hare
Yes.
Krishna Mataji.
That-
Then again, kindly describe how the proportionate accumulation of the reactions resulting from the different modes of material nature act upon the desiring living being, promoting or degrading him among the different species of life, beginning from the demigods down to the most insignificant creatures.
Hmm.
Hare Krishna.
So our Parikshit Maharaj, he knows that soul is there and that soul travels in different bodies. So he's aware of this fact. So he's saying that I want to know about the different bodies that the jiva acquires. So he says that I want you to explain me that how these actions and reactions work by which the jiva, out of the reactions of their work, receives different types of bodies. I want to know everything about means about the karmic activities of the jiva that leads to take the different body in different species of life, how they come into being. So Prabhupada writes, the actions and reactions of all works in the material modes of nature, either in a minute form or in the gigantic form, they are accumulated. And thus the result of such accumulated actions and reactions of karma or work become manifested in the same proportion. So we know this fact that how our karma are never finished. We cannot say that, okay, I have done 10 pious activities and 5 impious activities or sinful activities that nullifies, and then 5 pious activities is remaining for which I have to be. No, that doesn't work like that. The karma works like that. If I have performed 10 good activities and 5 bad activities, then I have to bear the results of all 15. Means 10 good and 5 bad. And for bearing those, definitely I have to take the next body. I have to accept another body. so that I can bear the reactions of all my karmas. So the reactions of all my activities are never nullified. They are always accumulated. Where? In our Sanchit karma. That's a go down where all the karmas are stored. And then what happened is that randomly few good and bad are taken, and with that, our next body is formed. And slowly and gradually, and that is what is known as prarabdha, that how they have been taken, and accordingly, we get a particular kind of body, we get a particular kind of parents, countries, siblings. That is not of our choice. And then what we all will go through during the entire journey of our life, one life, that is all there stored, that is there in the prarabdha karma. When our body, when we accept a particular type of a body. That body can be any like human or a jiva or animal, bird, beast, plant, anything. But rest of the karmas, they are not destroyed. They are kept in our sanchit karmas. And slowly and gradually, the sanchit karmas also are thrown in the entire, in our life, and they become mature. And all the karmas, when they become mature, then we have to bear their reactions. The only way to destroy that go down, उसमें आग लगानी है, you have to burn those sanchit karmas, is only through now. Through the process of holy name is it is possible to burn our sanchit karmas, in which the stored karmas are the aprarabdha karmas, which have not yet manifested. But otherwise, those who don't take shelter of now, then what happened is, then definitely there is no way that you can burn your sanchit karmas. We have to bear all those karmas. And then when we live this particular body, then again few karmas we do, because of which the reactions are there, and that reactions are again stored. Some are there where we get the instant karmas, and some are stored which are to be fructified, to be matured in our future life. Okay, so this is how the law of karma works. So, and it is manifested in the same proportion. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. This is not just the law of Newton, but this is the law of karma. So, how such actions and reactions takes place? What are the different procedure and what are their proportion? I want to know everything. Parikshit Maharaj inquires from that great Brahmin Sukadeva Goswami. And Prabhupada further, this is Prabhupada paraphrased the entire words and entire meaning of this, what Parikshit Maharaj was asking. But Prabhupada explains it further, that how life in the higher planets, which is known as the abodes of denizens of heaven, is obtained not by the strength of some spacecraft, but by works done in the mode of goodness. So Prabhupada explains, when somebody performs some pious activities, and the result of the pious activity is to enjoy heavenly planets. So Prabhupada is saying that heaven is not possible that you can just take some spacecraft and you can reach there. You have to earn some piety, only then you can go to heavenly planets and enjoy there. Then Prabhupada gives the example that how even in this material world, suppose if somebody has to travel to America, and American government has many restrictions for the entrance of foreigners. Now, the reason is that the Americans do not wish to share their prosperity with anyone. Because if they allow everyone to enter, and then the whole country will be at chaos. So therefore, even the denizens of the higher planets don't want that everybody can come and stay and enjoy the enjoyment of those heavenly planets. If you want to go there, you have to have a visa, you have to have your passport, you have to have the visa stamped. And that is what is, that means you have to have good pious results in your account, only then you can go to heavenly planet. Then Prabhupada gives another example. One can forcibly sit on the chair of a high court judge without being qualified for the post. Well, sorry, one cannot forcibly sit. You cannot accept the position of a high court judge without being qualified. So you need some qualifications. Similarly, one cannot enter the higher planetary systems without being qualified. You need certain qualification. Now, in Bhagavad Gita, yes, it is mentioned that you are promoted to those planets. You will go to heavenly planets if you worship demigods. You worship Pitras and you go to Pitra Loka. You worship ghosts and you go to Bhuvar Loka. So all these is there. So taking shelter of this verse, it is also mentioned that if somebody is engaged in devotional service, then they go home, back to Godhead. That is, Yad Gatavana Nivartante Tad Dhama Parama. Krishna says, right? So why to go into these different planetary systems? So why not go directly to the abode of Lord Shri Krishna? So we should perform devotional service, not some pious activities, but devotional service. And that service which is not mixed by any mode. It is in Shuddha Sattva. And then definitely we will be promoted. And that is what is known as Parabhakti. So it alone can promote a person to the transcendental kingdom of God. And such transcendental kingdom is not a myth, but it is factual as the moon. Scientists are trying to go to moon, right? So Prabhupada is saying that you will land up in some satellite or some other place, some other heavenly object, but you cannot land on moon without any piety. So one must have the transcendental qualities to understand the kingdom of God and God. Okay, we'll continue with text number 15. So what are the questions that our Parikshit Maharaj is asking? Bhupatala Kukupyoma Graha Nakshatra Bhubrita Sarit Samudra Dvipanam Sambhavaschaidaro. Yes, Padmini Mataji, would you like
Hare
to?
Krishna Mataji. O best of the Brahmanas, please also describe how the creation of the globes throughout the universe, the four directions of the heavens and the sky, and the planets, the stars and the mountains, the rivers and the seas and the islands, as well as their different kind of inhabitants take place. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. So now our Parikshit Maharaj, who is aware that not a single place in this entire universe is where the inhabitants are not there. Right? So he's asking that I want to know what kind of inhabitants they reside in this entire globe, in the heavens, in the sky, in the planets, stars. Like recently we have this news that somebody entered in that moon, the spacecraft was there, the person was there on the moon. But was he able to see other inhabitants? No. So are there inhabitants staying in the moon? Of course. Our sun god is with his entire 28 patnis, the daughters of Daksha, they all are there. And he's enjoying the company of everybody. But you need proper eyes to see them. And that eyes will come only through devotional service. So there are all the inhabitants which are there in different planets, the stars, the mountains, the rivers, the seas, and the islands, as well as there are different kind of inhabitants takes place. Yes, there are different kinds of inhabitants. And now our Parikshit Maharaj, he wants to ask that you please tell me. And Shukdev Goswami will further answer this question in the 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Inhabitants of different varieties of land, etc., are differently situated, and not all of them are equal in the respects. Inhabitants of the land are different from the inhabitants of water or the sky. And similarly, the inhabitants of different planets and stars in the sky are also different from one another. There are inhabitants in Jupiter, in Saturn, and Uranus. Yes, even the environment may be different. So what? The inhabitants are different. By the law of the Lord, no place is vacant, but the creatures of one particular place are different from those of other places. Some may say that there is no air in the Mars. So how can somebody can survive? Well, the inhabitants, they don't need, if something is not available, they don't need it. But they are there. They can survive without that. So no place is vacant. They had different places and different kinds of inhabitants are there. Even in human society also, Prabhupada is saying, the inhabitants of the jungles, of the deserts, they are different from those who are staying in the cities and the villages. Those who are always their whole life city dwelt, they will be very difficult for them to survive in a village. And for them, the village life will be a foreign life. That how can people survive like this? Because they are not used to it. So if such thing can happen in one place, then why not we can imagine that yes, there is life in other planets also. They are so made according to the different qualities of the modes of nature. So just such adjustment by the laws of nature is not blind. There is a great plan behind that arrangement. And Parikshit Maharaj requests Sukadeva Goswami to explain this authoritatively. He knows that Sukadeva Goswami is the supreme authority. So yeah, if I learn from him under the proper understanding, proper guidance, then I will get all the understanding that I need. And therefore, Parikshit Maharaj is asking all these questions. Continuing, now he's asking about the different universes, about what is the dimension of one universe. Paramamamandakoshaya bhaya abhayantara bheda mahatam chanu charchittam varnashram vinishchaya. So he's saying, now I want to know the andakoshaya, the universe, the dimension of the universe. Bhaya abhayantara bhedata. That what is the difference between the division of the outer space and the inner space of that universe? And not only them, I also want to know that how the different caste systems are there, how the living entities, they are divided, human beings especially, they are divided in different caste and orders of the social life. Yes, Kiran Mataji, go ahead. Yes, Kiran Mataji, you raised your hand.
Yes. Hare Krishna. Also, please describe the inner and outer space of the universe by specific divisions, as well as the character and activities of the great souls, and also the characteristics of the different classifications of the castes and orders of social life. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you. So he's saying now you should speak about the dimensions of the universe, Bhaya Abhayanta, inside and outside, and the activities of the great souls, and what is the definition of Varnashram system, and how the people in different castes and orders of the social life, they survive. So Maharaj Parikshit is a typical devotee of Lord Shri Krishna, is always anxious to know the complete significance of the creation of the Lord. Siddhanta Chitta Valiyana Karalas, Iya Haite Krishna Lahe Sudrad Manas. Very, very important. We should never be lazy in understanding the Siddhanta. Sometimes it looks very, very boring in understanding about the creation aspect of the Supreme Lord. But it is important. It is important to know the supremacy of the Lord. And then when we know the supremacy of the Supreme Lord, then it is very tasteful to relish the sweetness of the Lord. But if we directly jump to understand the sweetness of the Lord, well, that may not lead us to the proper understanding. So therefore, Parikshit Maharaj, though he knows, and he can directly ask the questions from Sukadeva Goswami about the different pastimes of the Supreme Lord in Vrindavan, but he didn't. He asked, he wanted to have the complete understanding of the Lord. So he was very anxious to know the complete significance of the creation of the Lord. He wants to know about the inner and the outer space of the universal form. It is quite fitting for the real researcher of knowledge to know about all this. Those who are of the opinion of that the devotees of the Lord, they are satisfied by mere sentiments, can find in the inquiries of Parikshit Maharaj good lessons as to how inquisitive a pure devotee is to know the things in their true perfection. Maharaj Parikshit was not just satisfied with some material knowledge. He is inquisitive about the character and the activities of the great souls and the devotees of the Lord. And that is what is Srimad Bhagavatam. To have complete knowledge of the Lord and his devotees. Lord Krishna, how he showed his mother the complete universal form within his mouth during the Mrit Bhakshan Leela. How she also wanted to look inside the mouth of the Lord, and how that the Lord has eaten dirt. So, what is Paul? So, but by the grace of the Lord, the devotees are able to see everything in the universe within the mouth of the Lord. The very idea of the scientific divisions of 4 classes of human society and the 4 orders of life is also inquired about herewith on the basis of individual personal quality. The 4 divisions are exactly like the 4 divisions of one's personal body. The parts and parcel of the body are non-different from the body, but by themselves they are only parts. This is the significance of the whole scientific systems of 4 castes and the 4 social orders. The value of such scientific divisions of human society can be ascertained only in terms of a proportionate development of devotional service. Any person employed in government service, including the president, he is a part and parcel of the entire government. The president or the prime minister cannot be regarded as the government itself. He is just a part of the government. He can be thrown out at any point of time. Everyone is a government servant, and no one is the government himself. That is the position of the living entities in the government of the Supreme Lord. It's Supreme Lord who is the Ishvara. Rest everybody, they are the Das. They are the servants. Jivara Sarup Nityara Krishna Das. That's the Sarup, the internal fundamental position of the Jiva, that the Jiva is always the Das, the servant of the Supreme Lord. No one can artificially claim the supreme position of the Lord. Well, that position is always filled. But everyone is meant to serve the purpose of the Supreme Lord. That is the real understanding. Okay, then now Parikshit Maharaj will ask about the different yugas, because our Sukadev Goswami has already explained in the conversation of Brahma and Narada that how even Brahma himself is one of the Yuga avatars. And one of the Guna avatars. I'm sorry, not the Yoga avatars. Lord Brahma is the Guna avatar. So now he's saying that I want to know about the Yuga Dharma and also the activities of the Yoga avatars. What these different incarnations, when they come in different yugas, what activity do they perform? And in that regard, we will get to hear so many different incarnations of the Supreme Lord in the further cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam. Yugani yugamanam cha dharmo yascha yuge yuge avataranu yat ascharya tamam hare. Yes, Gauranga Gopal Prabhu, please go ahead.
Please explain all the different ages in the duration of the creation and also the duration of such ages. Also tell me about the different activities of the different incarnations of the Lord in different ages. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. So now our Parikshit Maharaj is asking that you have to tell me that how the different incarnations takes place, and then what are their different activities in all these different ages. Again, Prabhupada says, Lord Krishna is the original personality of Godhead, and all the incarnations of the Supreme Lord, they are all non-different from him, yet are emissions from the Supreme. It's just like one original candle, and from that original candle, different other candles are lit. Maharaj Parikshit inquired from the great and the learned sage Sukadeva Goswami about the different activities of such incarnations, so that the incarnation of the Lord might be confirmed by his activities in the authoritative scriptures. This is another reason why Parikshit Maharaj asked. He wants that everything should be authoritatively mentioned, so that every person cannot claim himself to be the incarnation of the God. So Srimad Bhagavatam explains the different incarnations. So those incarnations are already there. If not in Srimad Bhagavatam, in other scriptures, definitely the incarnations are already being mentioned. So Parikshit Maharaj wants to make it this point that if so that no cheap person can claim himself to be God, because then their presence have to be shown in Srimad Bhagavatam. So Parikshit Maharaj, he was very intelligent. He was not carried away by the sentiments of common man to accept any person to be the incarnation of the God. Instead, he wished to accept the incarnation of the God by symptoms that are mentioned in the Vedic literatures and also confirmed by an acharya like Sukadeva Goswami. So therefore, he said that I want to know. And also I want to know that those incarnations, when they come, then what kind of activities they perform, because their activities are also mentioned in the scriptures. Text 18. Nirnam sadharano dharma shaiveshascha yadashaha shreninam rajashinam cha dharma kricheshu jivatam. So now our Parikshit Maharaj, he is asking that I want to know about the different dharmas. And especially I want to know about Bhakti. So Nirnam Sadharana Dharma. First I want to know what the Sadharana Dharma that the men perform. But I also want to know about the Savai Shesas, means the most important of all the dharmas, and that is the Bhakti. I want to know. I want to know that what is that dharma that is performed by Rajashinam, by the various kings and the Vaishyas. And I also dharma krichreshu jivatam. I want to know that how the different jivas, they perform the dharma, artha, kama, moksha, means something that is there in the regulative systems. I want to know about all of that. Somebody can read the translation.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Please also explain what may generally be the common religious applications of human society, as well as their specific occupational duties in religion, the classification of the social orders, as well as the administrative royal order, and the religious principle for one who may be in distress.
Thank you, Shamika. So what he's asking first of all about Sadharana Dharma. Then he's also asking about someone who is born in a particular species. What is their dharma according to their birth? What are and how is it possible that all those persons, those who are performing their dharma in a particular species of life, can they perform the bhakti by which they can attain the Supreme Lord? And we know the similar words, Kirata, Hundara, Pulinda, Pulaksha, that how the different tribals, they also when perform bhakti can achieve the Supreme Lord. So I want to know how the different kings, they perform their dharma. And what is the dharma in the emergency situation when it is difficult to act according to one's varnas. So he's saying, I want to know everything. So Prabhupada is saying that the common religion of all classes of human beings, regardless of whosoever and whatsoever one may be, is devotional service. Savai pumsa paro dharma, yato bhaktir adokshaja, ahituki apratihata, ayatma suprasida. So the one dharma of all the jivas is that paradharma. That paradharma is the worship of the Supreme Lord, engaging oneself in the devotional service of the Supreme Lord Adhokshaja. And how it has to be performed ahituki and apratihata, without any motivation and without any reservation and without any interruption, means constantly ahituki apratihata, it has to be. So then he says, even the animals may be included in the devotional service of the Lord. And the best example is that of Sri Vajranji or Hanuman, who was a very great devotee of Lord Ram. Even the aborigines and the cannibals can also be engaged in the devotional service of the Supreme Lord. Kirata, Hundara, Pulinda, Pulakshaka. They can be also engaged. In the Skanda Puran, there is a narration that how a hunter in the jungle became the most enlightened devotee of the Lord by the guidance of Narad Muni. And this hunter is Mridari. Therefore, devotional service of the Lord can be equally shared by every living being. So, devotional service can be performed by every living being. We know that devotional service, it can be performed by our sadhana when we are in the body of a human. Like Srila Rupa Goswami in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, he mentions that to perform devotional service, to enroll oneself on the path of bhakti, the only qualification one needs is to be a human. Because with the right intelligence, we come to a right devotee in the association of that devotee, and we get the knowledge of devotional service, and then we perform that devotional service. So this is one way where our sadhana also plays a major role. Yes, the mercy of the Supreme Lord and the mercy of the spiritual master is there, but our sadhana also plays a major role. But there is another way, which is purely by the mercy of Krishna or by the mercy of a pure devotee, where even if somebody is not in that human life, where somebody is in different species of life, can also be benefited by this devotional service. Like we do by this bhakti, I should say. Like we see the examples of all the animals of Jharkhand forest. Did they perform any sadhana? Zero sadhana. They were the real Kripa Siddhas because they got the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They got the darshan of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instigated all of them to chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. The dog of Shivanand Sen, yesterday we celebrated his disappearance day. The dog who was accompanying Shivanand Sen in Chaitanya Charitamrita, this 3 lakh times. How the dog was liberated. Did he do any sadhana? No. So sometimes these personalities, when they come in touch with the pure devotee of the Supreme Lord, or they come in the touch with the mercy of the Supreme Lord, they can also be liberated. Religious affiliations in terms of different countries and the cultural circumstances is obviously not the common religion of the human being. These are just the bahya. But the basic principle is devotional service. Even if a particular type of religious principle does not recognize the supremacy of the Lord, the followers still have to obey the disciplinary principles that is laid down by the leader. So such a leader of a religious sect is never the supreme leader. And because such a circumstantial leader comes to the position of leadership only after undergoing any penance. So somebody who is on the position of a spiritual master can be considered to be as good as a spiritual supreme lord. Sakshat Dharitvena Samasta Shastra. But a spiritual master cannot say that I am the God. He cannot claim himself to be God. The occupational duties of the caste and the orders of society following the principles of livelihood also depend on the principles of devotional service. It is stated that a person can achieve the highest perfection of life simply by awarding the results of his occupational duty unto the devotional service. People following the principles of devotional service can never be put into difficulty. And thus there cannot be question of apad dharma or religion in distress. So that was the question, but where Prabhupada is also answering. He's giving the answer in his purport. Dr. Sukadeva Goswami will further elaborate definitely on this, that there is no called apad dharma. Surrenderance is not where we can be given a choice that when and when not to surrender. Surrenderance means 100% surrender, irrespective of what circumstances we are going through. So there is no religion in distress as per Bhakti Yoga is concerned. So Shri Sukadeva Goswami will be explaining that there is no religion save and except the devotional service of the Lord, though this may be presented in different forms. Text 19. Tattvanam parisankyanam lakshanam hetu lakshanam purusharthana vidhi yoga yogasya dhatmikatsya cha. Yes, somebody can read the translation.
Can I read again, Mataji?
Yeah, anyway.
Hare Krishna. Kindly explain all about the elementary principles of creation, the number of such elementary principles, their causes and their development, and also the process of devotional service and the method of mystic powers. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. So what he's asking now? He's saying that now you please tell me about the principal qualities as well as their effects, the rules of worshipping different Purushavataras. So he's saying, I want to know the different tattvas. So these tattvas are what? These are the elements. That means he's asking about our Sankhya philosophy. So I want to know about these different elements. I want to know about the Purushavataras. Purusha here refers to Purushavataras and of course their activities. Saying I want to know about everything. And here yoga, method of mystic powers. So here yoga, the word yoga refers here is not the Bhakti yoga, but Mishrit, Bhakti Mishrit yoga, that is Ashtanga yoga, he's asking. Text 20. Yogeshwarya gatir linga bhangastu yoginam vedopaveda dharmanam itihasa puraneo. Now he's saying that I want to know about the different conclusions of the Vedas. I want to know about the Upavedas, about the Itihasas, about the Puranas, and what is the destination of the subtle body of the great yogis or the devotees when they are destroyed. Somebody can read the translation.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Go ahead, Mataji.
Thank you. What are the opulences of the great mystics and what is their ultimate realization? How does the perfect mystic become detached from the subtle astral body? What is the basic knowledge of the Vedic literatures, including the branches of history and the supplementary Puranas?
Thank you, Mataji. So he's asking about the opulences of the great mystics. Means those who have attained these great powers. He's asking about the Yogeshwaras, who are the great mystics. And Prabhupada will say the Yogeshwara, the greatest of all the mystics is Lord Shiva. So what is their realization? And how the perfect mystic, he become detached from the subtle astral body. They also have the subtle body, that how they become detached. Means he wants to know about the process of Ashtanga Yoga. And what is the basic understandings of the different literatures, the Upavedas, the Puranas? I want to read them. Prabhupada writes, the Yogeshwara, or the master of the mystic powers, can exhibit 8 kinds of wonders. We know Agima, Lagima, these are all the siddhis that they can attain. They can become smaller than the atom or the lighter than a feather, getting anything and everything he desires, going anywhere and everywhere he likes, creating even a planet in the sky. Yes, our Kardama Muni did for Devahuti. Smaller than the smallest. Even our Hanuman became the tiniest one when he entered Lanka and saw that Rakshasi Lankini. So these are different mystics powers that a yogic person, he gets all these powers. And these are very nicely described in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So Prabhupada is saying there are many Yogeshwaras having different proficiencies in this wonderful powers. And the topmost of all of them is Lord Shiva. He is the greatest yogi and he can perform such wonderful things far beyond the ordinary living beings. But the devotees of the Lord, they had no directly practice to process the mystic powers. But by the grace of the Lord, his devotee can never defeat even a great Yogeshwara like Durvasa Muni. Durvasa Muni was a great yogi. Just from his hair, this one of the strand of his hair, he created a Rakshasa, a demon to kill Maharaj Amrish. But was he able to do it? No, because the power of devotional service that was performed by Maharaj Amrish was much higher. Because Amrish Maharaj was a pure devotee of the Lord, and thus without any effort on his part, the Lord saved him from the wrath of this Yogeshwara Durvasa Muni. So what is the use of having all those mystic powers? So point is that having those mystic powers look very fascinating. But actually, the most fascinating things, the most wondrous, adbhuta, is devotional service. When we perform devotional service, when we completely surrender unto the Supreme Lord, well, that can create miracles in the life of the devotees. Prabhupada is giving another example of Draupadi Devi. From nowhere, Krishna appeared and provided and came in the incarnation of a sari. And now he provided unlimited sari and protected the chastity of Draupadi Devi. So yes, there are devotees who also have Yogeshwaras by the unlimited power of the Lord. But just like a child is powerful by the strength of the parents, the child doesn't know anything. Even to cross the road, the child needs the protection of his father or mother. Similarly, a devotee is 100% dependent on the Supreme Lord. And the Supreme Lord proclaims, Kauntaya pratijani name bhakta pranishyati. My devotee will never perish. And holding on to those vows of the Supreme Lord, Sakradeva Prapannaya Stavasmiti Yachati. Holding on to all these wonderful vows of the Supreme Lord, the devotee is always hankering for the protection of the Supreme Lord, surrenders unto him and seeks protection. This is Atmanivedana. Avashya Rakshati Krishna Vishwasa Palana. This is the faith, this is the conviction of a devotee. They do not try to protect themselves by any artificial means, but they are saved by the mercy of the Supreme Lord. Maharaj Parikshit inquired from the learned Brahmana Sukdev Goswami about the ultimate destination of such great mystics, how they attain such extraordinary powers, by their own efforts or by the grace of the Lord. Definitely both are needed. He inquired also about the detachment from the subtle and the gross material body. Subtle and astral, as Prabhupada mentions, that is gross material body. He inquired also about the purpose of the Vedic knowledge, how the Upavedas, the Puranas, the Itihasas, they explain. But we know from Bhagavad Gita that Vedascha aham eva vid, Vedascha sarve aham eva vid. Krishna says it. The essence of all the Vedas is to know. If you know me, then you don't need to read all those Vedas. We have time. Yes. Text 21. Samplava sarvabhutanam vikrama pratishankrama ishtapurtasya kamyamyam trivargasya chayo vidhi. Somebody can read the translation.
Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada Ji ki jai. Please explain unto me how the living beings are generated, how they are maintained, and how they are annihilated. Tell me also of the advantages and disadvantages of discharging devotional service unto the Lord. What are the Vedic rituals and injunctions of the supplementary Vedic rites? And what are the procedures of religion, economic development, and sense gratification? Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Nisha Mataji. So here he is asking about the deliverance from the samsara chakra, that how the living beings who are generated and are maintained, I also want to know that how they will be delivered from the samsara. Definitely the answer is bhakti, that you need bhakti, otherwise it's not possible. But right now our Parikshit Maharaj is asking, please describe me how the living entities are delivered from the samsara chakra. Then he asked also that how is Prabhupada is writing, tell me the advantages and disadvantages of discharging devotional service. But Avashala Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he explains that actually it is that what is favorable and what is unfavorable for bhakti. I want to know this also. And Parikshit Maharaj is asking about the smartas and about the kamyas, the desires that the living entity has. So how they conduct this dharma, artha, kam. I want to know about all that. So Prabhupada will explain this in great detail. Prabhupada says samplava is in the sense of perfect means is employed to denote the discharging of devotional service. That is samplava. The verse says samplava sarvabhutana vikrama pratisankrama. So this is samplava. Pratisamplava means just the opposite. So I want to know about this samplava, means how one perform the devotional service. So when through bhakti only, they will be delivered from this samsara chakra. One who is firmly situated in devotional service of the Lord can very easily execute the function of conditional life. Living the conditional life is just like plying a boat in the middle of the ocean. One is completely at the mercy of the ocean. And at every moment, there is every chance of being drowned in that ocean by slight agitation. That is the position of a conditioned living entity. If the atmosphere is right, the boat will ply very easily, undoubtedly. But if there is a strong fog, wind, or a cloud, even if there is every possibility of being drowned in that ocean, no one can control the whims of the ocean. However, one may be materially well equipped. One who has crossed the ocean by ship may have sufficient experience of such dependence upon the mercy of the ocean. Prabhupada has traveled for 2 months, he was in that ship, so he can very well explain. So the point is that this conditioned living entity, it is for them when they are in this world, it is just like having a boat and they are plying that boat in the middle of the ocean. Small agitation. If the ocean is calm, the boat is going very nicely. So when the surroundings and the circumstances in the life of that conditioned living entity is there, nicely going on, no complaints, easily they will flow. But a small agitation comes, and then their faith is disturbed, they are agitated, and then there is every possibility of them getting drowned in this samsara, means losing all hopes, losing all their credits, and then they are drowned in this samsara chakra. But one can fly over the ocean of material existence. How? By the grace of the Lord. And that is very easily. Even the storm comes, even the fog comes, it doesn't matter. Because now they are in that ship, and the captain of the ship is the master, the spiritual master, who is steering the wheel of the ship very nicely. In this regard, there is also one story that how one girl was in a spacecraft, in not the spacecraft, in the airplane. And then there was a turbulence in that airplane, and everybody was disturbed. There was an announcement made that there is turbulence, and so everybody got afraid. They were very fearful, and then they fastened their seatbelt, and as per own their thing, they were praying to the Lord. And there was one girl who was very sitting calmly, nothing to worry about, and was engaged in reading her book. And one person asked, "Why you are so calm? Aren't you afraid?" And she said, "No, because my father is the pilot. So I know that my father is the pilot, and he will make all arrangements to protect me because he knows that I am sitting in that airplane." That is the condition of a devotee. The devotee, if undergoes any problems or any danger in his or her life, then they know that my Supreme Lord is there. Because anything that comes in the life of a devotee is actually and ultimately being sanctioned by the Lord. No matter who brings those miseries, whether it is adhyatmic, adi bhautik, or adi daivik, but ultimately the devotee knows that all these miseries are sanctioned by my Supreme Lord. So my Lord's hand is there in that misery. So that misery, if my Lord is sending and he is sanctioning, that means he wants to teach me some lesson. So devotee accepts in that way. And he knows that I have to depend on the Lord. And the devotees of the Lord, however, cross that ocean of material existence without any anxiety, because they are always and always protected by the Supreme Lord. Mahatmastu mam bharata daivim prakritim ashrita bhajanti ananyo manaso jnatva bhutadim avayam. They are always under Daivi Prakriti, and this Daivi Prakriti is Lord's internal potency. They are always protected by the Lord. The Lord gives special attention to his devotees. Yes, the Supreme Lord, he claims that I am impartial to everyone. Samoham sarva bhuteshu. Name devishya priya. But ye bhajanti tu mam bhaktya maitateshu chakra. The Supreme Lord, he claims that I am impartial, but he especially gives attention to his devotees in their activities. And he says that I am the one. Maitateshu chakra. Those who worship me, I give them special attention. Therefore, by all means, one should always take shelter of the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. It's a foolproof process. It will never fail. People think that worshipping Lord Shri Krishna is actually inviting problems in your life. But it is not that. If Krishna gives us the problem, then those problems are also helpful to us, benefit us, so that something which is prolonged can be reduced, and then immediately we are liberated. Like we see the example in the life of King Indradyumna. Now, King Indradyumna, he was simply left everything, he was meditating. And he was an Ashtanga yogi. He was in his meditation. If he would have progressed in the life which he was, then it would have been taken ages for him to come to the platform of bhakti. But just with one curse by Agastya Muni, and he became a dull-headed elephant. And just one curse made him Gajendra, and that Gajendra in the very next life attains the Supreme Lord. We see the examples of Nalakuvera and Manigrava. They were the sons of Kuvera. If they would have followed their normal process, then they would have taken ages for them also. But one curse of Sri Narad Muni made them trees. And trees also were in Golok, in Gokul, in Bhauma Vrindavan, in earthly Vrindavan, where they witnessed the childhood pastimes of the Supreme Lord. And those childhood pastimes which are not there in the spiritual world, those pastimes they witnessed. And then they became who? They became Madhukanta and Sniktakanta. And today also in Golok Vrindavan, they got the position. And they are still reciting those wonderful pastimes in the assembly of Nand Maharaj. So see, then you can say the curse was a curse. No, the curse was actually a blessing. It looks like a curse that they became trees. It looks like a curse that Indradyumna became an elephant. It wasn't a curse. It was a blessing in disguise. So that what it means to be in the association of a pure devotees of the Lord, then you will always be the recipient of the mercy of those devotees and the mercy of the Supreme. One should know, therefore, from the expert spiritual master, the advantages and disadvantages of discharging devotional service. Means what is favorable and what is not favorable. And this is very well explained in Bhakti Rasamrita Siddhi, that how we should control our ahar also. We should, what kind of diet we should take, not to sense gratify, but to keep the body and soul. That helps us in the process of bhakti. How one should not accumulate money. We should not go do atyahar. Means we should unnecessarily not do extra endeavor, which is not favorable for bhakti. People, which Prabhupada is saying, it's better to become a kuli and live an honest livelihood than to become a great man in the society by hook or by crook. What's the need? Nek ki kamai honi chahiye means whatever we are earning, it should be earned through nicely, honest livelihood. There is no harm, Prabhupada is saying, to become the richest man in the world, but it should be by honest dealings only. A devotee's business is to earn the favor of the Lord. Therefore, a devotee should always glorify the Lord. The devotee should not decry the creation of the Lord, defying him by saying that he has created a false world. How can this world be false? Factually, we make so many things from the world for our maintenance. So how can we say this world is false? Similarly, how can one think of the Lord as being without form? Is he formless? No, he has the same intelligence, consciousness. So how can he be formless? So there are many things that a pure devotee has to learn, and he can learn perfectly well from a bona fide personality like Sukadeva Goswami. Now, the favorable conditions for discharging devotional service, that one should be very enthusiastic. Utsaha nishchaya dhairyat in serving the Supreme Lord. And that is the Lord in his form of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted the cult of devotional service to the Lord to be preached all over the world. And the devotee should be very enthusiastic, not only in performing his daily rituals, but also trying to preach this message of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Be a missionary in this mission of the Supreme. Success or failure has no meaning. If somebody is going out for book distribution, it doesn't matter whether he is able to sell the books or not. What it matters is that how many people was he able to explain this Bhagavad Gita? How many came in contact with the books of Srila Prabhupada, even if they have not bought it? So if they come back, like suppose one devotee has gone with 5 Bhagavad Gitas and come back with 5 only, we cannot say that it was a failure. No, he may have touched, he may have preached about Bhagavad Gita. He may have made other devotees touch the book of Srila Prabhupada. Maybe 50 of them he would have preached. So was it a failure? No, it was a success only. Because those 50 don't know that tomorrow, just today they heard about Bhagavad Gita, they got so much of a Gyat Sukriti that tomorrow they become a first-class devotees. So today they may not have bought Bhagavad Gita, but tomorrow they can become a great devotee and they themselves will be engaged in preaching activities. Well, I can really share my thing that how I can say this that happened in my life. When we were distributing books, we went to the house of one family. We knocked at their house. The husband opened the door. We told them about the Bhagavad Gita. And the husband looked at the wife, and the wife said, no, we have this Bhagavad Gita. And the husband said the same thing. We closed the door. But before he could close the door, we gave him the card that we are keeping this Bhakti Vrikshas every Friday. So please, if possible, you can come one day. You already have Bhagavad Gita, as your wife told, so please try to come. And he said, okay. Chapter closed, the book was still with us. And 2 weeks later, they showed up. They showed up in Bhakti Rikshas. And as soon as they came, they saw Srimad Bhagavatam in our home. It was displayed. And immediately they said that we want this Srimad Bhagavatam. So just by looking at Srimad Bhagavatam, the family got so attracted that they want to buy there and then. And luckily I had a whole box. So we gave that box to them. And they became such a great devotee that after that they were very regular in all the programs. They took initiation also, both husband and wife. The children are first-class devotees. So now see, now knocking at that door and not able to distribute Bhagavad Gita was a success or a failure. I will say it was failure at that time because we were not able to distribute the books. But if you read Srila Prabhupada's word, that there is actually no failure. And it was not a failure. It was a great success. Just one book, if they would have taken, we don't know whether they would have read it or no. They will maybe ignore that book. But they came in the association of all the other devotees. They came to temple and see the progress that happened in their life. So there is success or failure has no meaning because they are devotees. They are just the soldier in the field. They will do their duty. Whether the result happens or not, it doesn't matter. So there are different kinds of materialists, such as the fruitive workers, the mental speculators, the mystic jugglers, and so many others. All of them are against the existence of God. They would declare that they are themselves God. Although in every step and in every action, they are dependent on the mercy of the Lord. Therefore, a pure devotee may not associate with such gangs of atheists. A strong devotee of the Lord will not be misled by such atheistic propaganda of the devotees. But a neophyte devotee should be very cautious about them. Maharaj Parikshit inquired about the creation, maintenance, and destruction of the material world, the process of the Vedic rituals that are mentioned, like the Mahabharata, Puranas, the Vedas, the Upanishads. Pious acts are described in the Smritis, which specifically mentions digging tanks and wells for the supply of the people in general, water supply. to plant trees on the public roads, to construct public temples and the places of the worship of God, to establish places of charity where the poor destitutes can be provided with foodstuffs and similar activities. They are called purta. Similarly, the process of fulfilling the natural desires for sense gratification was also inquired by the king for the benefit of all concerned. So yes, he inquired about all those activities, about the devotional service. He also talked about how those people performs philanthropic work, how people are engaged in dharma, artha, kama, so everything he inquired. And our Sukhdev Goswami will explain everything in detail. Dear devotees, we will stop here. From 22 onwards, hardly 2 or 3 questions more, and then the chapter will end. So probably next Tuesday, Preeti Vilasti Mataji will try to finish this chapter. So from 22 onwards, we'll continue on next Tuesday. Thank you all so much. Are there any quick questions, any realizations, any corrections? Okay. If not, then we can stop here. Very simple verses, but so many lessons to take for sure. Okay, so we'll stop. Thank you so much. Yes, Praladananda Prabhu, please go ahead.
Danda Pranam Mataji.
Hello,
I was just touched by your effort of studying that Bhagavatam. One Krishna gives us such a guarantee that idam paramam guyam mad bhakti subhidasyati. Say that 1868. And bhakti mai param kruva. That's what he says. And then nachatasman manusyasi kaschinna prekut. Just by endeavoring to spread Prabhupada Maharaj's mission, we are all guaranteed by Lord Sri Krishna. That's what I want to emphasize and share with everyone. We should do little effort, bas. And Bhagavan Krishna will catch our hand. Bhavami chirat partham maya vesitites. He said, I will not take very long. Nati dargena pravista karanarandre. So all this is giving us such nice kind of assurance. And if anyone hears Radha Govind Swami's lectures, so many lectures he has said that rest assured. He says that rest assured, we are all on the perfect path. And we are also fortunate that we have taken birth in this particular Kali Yuga. What is So I just wanted to share that, Mother. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Yes, it's a golden era. We are really fortunate. Okay, thank you, dear devotees. Thank you so much, Praladhananda Prabhu, for adding. Thank you for everybody for your association. We'll stop here. Vancha kalpatarubhascha kripasindhubhayavaccha tanam pavanebhyo vaishnavyo Ananta Koti Vaishnav ki Jai, Shri Prabhupada ki Jai, Granth Raj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai, all the Vaishnavas ki Jai.
Mata ki Jai.
Hare Krishna.